Hello guys, today I'm just making a video on some basic insights on how to solve questions related to the topic Surds. I know many of you guys have this concept coming up for your exam, so hopefully this video can help me all in order to understand this much more better. And if you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And yeah, let's start with the video. Alright, so we're gonna go over the rules of Surds first. So the first rules that we need to understand is that the square root of a and b can be written as square root of a times the square root of b. The other rule we have to remember is that the square root of a divided by b can become square root a divided by square root b. So we can split that square root in terms of a and b on both the numerator and the denominator. The other rule is that if square root a, let's say squared, this automatically becomes a positive a. So they just cancel out each other. You guys can test that in your calculator. If you guys do square root 2 and you square that whole thing, you automatically get the value of 2 itself. And some other rules is that when dealing with addition, if you have a square root x plus b square root x, you're just going to add a and b together, leaving square root x with the value of x the same. You just add these two together, a and b, whatever value is there, you just add them both together. It's the same thing for subtraction, where a squared x minus b squared x, it just automatically becomes a minus b squared x. That's going to be your answer for in terms of subtraction. And there's some other notations that would be recommended, like a square minus b square, which is equivalent to a plus b brackets a minus b. So do remember this. You might use this in Surds. These are the concepts that you guys might use in Surd questions in this case. And yeah, let's start with the questions here. So question 1 is write square root of 48 in form of k squared 3, where k is an integer. So the first thing is we have to use, let's say, this rule here. We're going to split the term together. So we're going to write square root 48 is going to be equivalent. We have to divide 48 by some number, right? So that we get a square root number and a normal number which cannot be square rooted. So square root 48, if you directly put that in your calculator, you're going to get 4 square root 3. But we have to find out how to show the working in this case. So 48 can be divided by 3. If you do 48 divided by 3, you're going to get 16. So you get square root of 16 times the square root of 3, which is automatically, we know, is 16 times 3, which is going to become 48. So they're equivalent to each other. Square root 16, we know, is can be simplified in 4 as 4. 4 times square root 3, this becomes 4 square root 3. So this is a simplified form. This question will be asked for about 2 marks. So yeah, this is the working shown. Let's move on to the next question. Now, the second question is about rationalizing. Now, rationalizing is an important concept. So for rationalizing, what you have to do is you have to multiply both the numerator and denominator by the value, let's say by the square root or the surd in the denominator. So what I mean by this is that since we have 4 square root, let's say 4 divided by square root 3, we have to multiply both the top and the bottom by square root 3. Technically, that is the denominator in this case. Since we multiply that, we're going to write equivalent to 4 square root 3. We know square root times square root 3 is going to become a positive a. Now, the reason why square root 3 times square root 3 becomes positive 3 is because it's square root 3, which is squared, and becomes 3. Using that rule which we used here, square root a, which is squared, becomes a positive a. So we're applying the concept and we're putting the answer as 3 at the denominator side. So we have 4 square root 3 divided by 3. That's not all about it yet, because the main thing we have to do after that is to simplify it, right? You can simplify it as 4 by 3 square root 3, but as of now, we can just leave it as 4 square root 3 divided by 3. That should be where 3 is your rational denominator, and you can leave it as it is. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Now, the next question is to write square root of 3 plus square root 5 or in this case, sorry, 3 plus square root 5, which is all squared in the form of a plus b square root 5, where a and b are integers. So what we have to do in this case is that we're going to start expanding the brackets. That's the most important step that we do in this case. So by expanding the brackets, we should be getting 3 plus square root 5, brackets 3 plus square root 5, where 3 times 3 is going to become positive 9, plus 3 times square root 5, that's going to give us a value of about 3 square root 5, plus 3 times square root 5 again. By the way, know you're expanding of brackets. This is very important that you guys understand how to expand the brackets. 3 square root 5. Square root 5 times square root 5. This automatically becomes a positive 5 since we know the rules. Now we're going to rearrange the like terms together. So you're going to get 9 plus 5 plus 3 square root 5 plus 3 square root 5. Now this is where we're going to apply some of the rules in this case. So do keep in mind 9 plus 5. That becomes 14. 14 plus. We can see that this rule we have to apply is connecting to the rule that is above for addition, where we just add a and b. So in this case, we're just going to add 3 plus 3. That becomes a positive 6 square root 5. We do not change anything. We leave it as it is. All right. So this is for 2 marks. So the answer is 14 plus 6 square root 5. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Now the next question again is more of a rationalizing question, but this time it's in form of, let's say, algebra notation with variables of x and y. So what we're going to do is multiply the top and bottom by the bottom itself. So what I mean by this is 1 divided by square root x minus square root y. It's going to be multiplied by square root x minus square root y, square root x plus square root y. Actually, we do have to flip the signs, by the way, in terms of rationalizing when it comes to, let's say, when it comes to more additions. So what that means is, if we have square root 2 plus square root 4 or something, we have to just flip the sign to negative. That's what we usually do in terms of rationalizing. So do flip the sign. Whereas if it's an individual component, you don't need to switch the sign. You just multiply as it is. So here it just transforms. So do put that note down. It flips the sign when you multiply the numerator and denominator by the denominator itself in terms of rationalizing. So that's why we add square root x plus square root y. So if you multiply that, that becomes square root x plus square root y divided by, you're going to put this in brackets. All right, so square root x plus square root y. And we're going to simplify this. This is the most important part, is that we simplify this carefully to get square root x times square root x. That's going to give us a positive x plus square root x times square root y. It's going to give us square root xy minus square root xy again, negative square of y times negative times positive square root of y. That's going to give us a negative y. So these signs are a bit different, but you have to just write them down individually like this so that we understand it much better. All right, so this cancels out to get square root x plus square root y divided by x minus y. So now this seems to be the final answer. There's no further simplifying this, so we can leave it as it is. And this is the answer for the 4th question. All right, let's move on to the last question. Now the last question is to simplify fully. This is another algebraic surd question that we have to look into. This is where, again, we have to expand the brackets. 2a plus square root b, brackets 2a plus square root b. Now expand the brackets. It's going to become 4a squared plus 2a square root b plus 2a square root b plus square root b times square root b. That becomes a positive b. What you're going to do is you're going to arrange all the like terms together. Since they're already arranged, now we have to carefully analyze this. The portion here is going to use that same rule of addition of surds. We can see square root b being prominent on both sides. So we have to add 2a and 2a in this case. So it's going to be 2a plus 2a. That's going to give you 4a. So your final answer is going to become 4a squared plus 4a square root b. Since square root b remains the same, plus b. This is going to be an answer for about 2 marks using that same law and the rule of surds, addition of surds. This seems to be the end of all the questions. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I think that's it. New content will be posted soon. And yeah, alright. Bye, guys.